So this is book 20, part 2, line 64 of page 947. The cowherdsman said, let the master come. Father Zeus, grant our old wish. Some courier guide him back. Then judge what stuff is in me and how I manage arms. Likewise, Eumaeus fell to praying all heaven for his return, so that Odysseus, sure at least of these, told them. So, hey, both those guys just said, yep, I'd be for him. So Odysseus can finally let him know. It's me, I'm home. I am at home, for I am he. I bore adversities, but in the 20th year I am ashore in my own land. I find the two of you alone among my people, longed for my coming. Prayers I never heard except your own, that I might come again. So now what is in store for you? I'll tell you. If Zeus brings down the suitors by my hand, I promise marriages to both and cattle and houses built near mine. And you shall be brothers in arms of my Telemachus. Here, let me show you something else, a sign that I am he, that you can trust me. Look. This old scar from the tusk wound that I got boar hunting on Parnassus, Autolycus' son and I, you do not have to write his name down. Shifting his rags, he bared the long gash. Both men looked and knew, and threw their arms around the old soldier, weeping, kissing his head and shoulders. He as well took each man's head and hands to kiss, and then said, to cut it short, else they might weep till dark, break off. No more of this. Anyone at the door could see and tell them. Drift back in, but separately at intervals, after me. Now listen to your orders. When the time comes, those gentlemen to a man will be dead against giving me bow or quiver. Defy them. Eumaeus, bring the bow and put it in my hands there at the door. Tell the women to lock their own door tight. Tell them, if someone hears the shock of arms or groans of men in hall or court, not one must show her face, but keep still at her weaving. Philodius, run to the outer gate and lock it. Throw the crossbar and lash it. He turned back into the courtyard and the beautiful house and took the stool he had before, and they followed one by one, the two hands loyal to him. Eurymachus had now picked up the bow. He turned it round and turned it round before the licking flame to warm it up, but could not, even so, put stress upon it to jam the loop over the tip, though his heart groaned to bursting. So let's talk about what Odysseus told his men. He basically talked about, what this room is like, in a way. So, it's not a square, that's what I drew, but it might be more like a octagonal shaped room, because we live in the Mediterranean where it's going to be really hot. And so you're going to have a multitude of doorways here. And then you're going to have multiple buildings, multiple rooms. And so they're going to be on their looms. So here I'm going to have, this is going to be this one big room. I'm sure there's a lot more to this, but I'm just doing this as quick as I can. So we're going to have all these doorways, and dude, I'm going to want to make sure that you guys understand. There's going to be also some doors maybe way out here. So this would be like a gate going around my property where I live. And I'm going to tell you, dude, I want you to lock these gates out here. I want you to keep all these servants out that you possibly can. If I can keep this down to only 100 men, this might work. We'll keep all these men out here that we can. And then in this room, this is where all these suitors are going to be. And all the women, I want them all over here, because women have to be protected. They can't be out there fighting. They have to be in here, and I want them locked in there so nothing can happen to the women, especially my wife. She's really important to me. So, while I'm in this room, Nobody else has had any luck stringing the bow. And they're not going to be okay with you giving it to a beggar. I want you, while they're not looking, you're going to take all the weapons out of that room. And, or if there are any, I get access to them. They've got to control all access to weapons that they possibly can. So when people aren't paying attention, the doors in this room are going to be getting locked, and these doorways out here. You keep some people in, the 100 guys I need to kill, keep all servants possibly out that you possibly can, gives me the greatest chance at success here. So, okay, we split, everybody goes their separate way, we got our game plan. But keep in mind, I mean, so far, I gotta say, I think Odysseus has done some smart things. He has made sure that these two guys are on his side. He gave them some proof he is who he said he is, or, pulls up and shows them the scar on his abdomen. So that's all good. I think that's extremely smart to get a couple more people on your side. I still think it's dangerous to go up against this many people, but it's a very, very smart thing. So now we're back coming into this room where all these suitors are, and there's Eurymachus, who's ticked off because, dude, he isn't able to string that bow. And then at line 113, Eurymachus comments and says, "Curse this day! What gloom I feel! Not for myself alone, no, and not only because we lost that bride, we lost Penelope. Women are not lacking in Achaea, in other towns, or on Ithaca. No, the worst is humiliation. To be shown up for children measured against Odysseus, we who cannot even hitch the string over his bow. What shame to be repeated of us, after us." Oh, it's not that I love her. Has nothing to do with that. It's all about him. Then spoke Odysseus, all craft and gall. Remember, he is still the beggar. "My lords, contenders for the queen, permit me. A passion in me moves to speak out. I put it to Eurymachus above all, and to that brilliant Prince Antinous," that about must have killed him to say this, "these two head guys of all of you. Oh, I'm going to beg you as a beggar. But let me try my hand at the smooth bow. Let me test my fingers and my pull to see if any of the old-time kick is there, or if thin fare and roving took it out of me." Oh my God. Give him the weapon that's in the room. The greatest weapon that's in the room. Please give it to me. You think I'm just a beggar. You think I can't do this. You think I'd humiliate you and bring shame to everything. Like, why would Penelope ever marry you because she's a beggar or you're a beggar? Odysseus, boy, is he playing this good. Oh, and let's not forget. Oh, I forgot this. Did we even notice? Where did we say that? Oh, yeah. Page 948. 948. Odysseus had said, "If Zeus brings down the suitors by my hand, I promise stuff to you." He offered riches and wealth to these two herdsmen to make him on equal footing with his son. Wow, that's enticing for those two guys. But he acknowledged some help from Zeus, or he's asking for it. He's never really asked for it before, which is a good sign or a good thing, that Odysseus just doesn't think he's automatically good and can do this all by himself. So he has said this. He said, "Dude, please let me do it. Let me do it." Line 131. Now irritation beyond reason swept them all, since they were nagged by fear that he could string it, and Antinous answered coldly and at length, "You blurry vagabond! No rag of sense has left you. Are you not coddled here enough at table, taking meat with gentlemen, your betters, denied nothing, and listening to our talk? When have we let a tramp hear all our talk? The sweet goat of wine has made you rave." They have no interest in letting him participate. But remember, Odysseus has to get that bow in his hands. Remember, who in this room knows that Odysseus is the beggar? 3 people. You know 2 right off the bat. Herdsman, the cow herdsman, and the other herdsman, which swine herdsman, I believe. So I've got 2 herdsmen. And who was my 3rd one? My 3rd one was Telemachus, his son. Why doesn't the wife know? Why doesn't she know? If my husband showed up after 20 years, don't you think that I might be crying tears of joy? Wouldn't I want to scream it from the rooftops when I got 100 men in the next room? Wouldn't that have tipped the hand that, oh my God, he's here? That could have, given people enough gumption to want to come after Odysseus and his family and the herdsman. 5 people, and one of them a woman. Oh my God. But we have our 2 head guys. They're going to be really upset. Oh my God, you're going to have a beggar compete. He's going to make us look so bad if he can do this. But it's really important to see what happens next at 140. At this, the watchful Queen Penelope interposed. She interrupted and said, Antinous, discourtesy to a guest of Telemachus, whatever guest, that is not handsome. What are you afraid of? Suppose this exile put his back into it and drew the great bow of Odysseus. Could he then take me home to be his bride? You know he does not imagine that. No one need let that prospect weigh upon his dinner. How very, very improbable it seems. What a beautiful thing that she just played into this plan, and she has no idea that that's her husband. Not one. Let me correct your behavior, Antinous. We don't behave that way in my house. In Telemachus's house, my son's house. She kind of, in a slight way, acknowledges that Odysseus is gone. She doesn't want to accept that. But, hey, you know he doesn't expect to marry me. He's a beggar. He's not going to expect to marry me. At Telemachus's request, Penelope leaves the men to settle the question of the bow among themselves. So Penelope leaves, and she goes into this area with the women. She's locked in, can't come out. That's for her protection. Okay? The swineherd had the horned bow in his hands, moving toward Odysseus, when the crowd in the banquet hall broke into an ugly din, shouts rising from the flushed young men. Ho! Where do you think you are taking that, you smutty slave? What is this dithering? We'll toss you back, alone among the pigs, for your own dogs to eat if bright Apollo nods and the gods are kind. He faltered all at once, put down the bow, and stood in panic, buffeted by waves of cries, hearing Telemachus from another quarter shout, Go on! Take him the bow! Do you obey this pack? You will be stoned back to your hills. Young as I am, my power is over you. I wish to God I had as much the upper hand of these. There would be suitors pitched like dead rats through our gate for the evil plotted here. So, wow, okay. You've got all these men in this room getting all ticked off and all bent out of shape that you're going to actually let this beggar compete? And that herdsman got real worked up, like, oh crap. You got 100 guys, they're all getting mad at me. And I know it's Odysseus, but dude, there's only 4 of us. And he gets really nervous. And that's when Telemachus has to speak up. Remember, we talked about being encouraging, and you got to know when to push. And this is that moment you've got to push. And that's what Telemachus does. Dude, if you don't take that bow over to that beggar, You are not going to ever be welcomed here. You will not any longer be employed here. You won't work here. He's basically going to take everything away from him. And Telemachus has a real angry spot towards all of these men in his home. He doesn't like them there, has not liked them there for quite a long time. He had said there would be suitors pitched like dead rats through our gates for the evil plotted here. I mean, they only want to marry his mom, but not for the right intentions. Okay? So Telemachus did something he really needed to do. And it should have been a moment where you're respectful, only they're not. It says at line 168, Telemachus's frenzy struck someone as funny, and soon the whole room roared with laughter at him, so that all tension passed. So they look at Odysseus' son as a joke. Do you think that ticks Odysseus off? Absolutely. Eumaeus picked up the bow and quiver, making for the door, and there he placed them in Odysseus' hands, where it needed to be. Calling Euclea to his side, he said, now Euclea, oh, who is this chick? Telemachus trusts you to take care of the women's doorway. Lock it tight. If anyone inside should hear the shock of arms or groans of men in hall or court, not one must show her face, but go on with her weaving. The old woman nodded and kept still. She disappeared into the woman's hall, bolting the door behind her. Philodius left the house now at one bound, cat-like, running to bolt the courtyard gate. A coil of deck rope of papyrus fiber lay in the gateway. This he used for lashing and ran back to the same stool as before, fastening his eyes upon Odysseus. So, here we are. Dude, now we've got this old lady. She made sure, boom, I'm taking my wife over here. Odysseus' wife goes over here. And this old woman makes sure that all these women are locked up. Every single one of them. Okay? Now, all these herdsmen, yeah, they're going around. All these doors getting locked up. Nobody is suspicious because everybody's thinking, ha, ha, ha. This bum's going to do this beggar. What a joke. They are not paying attention. Things are happening and they have no clue. Party, party, party. I'm having my food. I'm having my drink. None of us could string the bow. Ha, ha, ha. Odysseus' son is such a joke. Ha, ha, ha. Only not everybody's laughing. Line 186. And Odysseus took his time, turning the bow, tapping it, every inch for borings that termites might have made while the master of the weapon was abroad. The suitors were now watching him, and some jested among themselves. Ah, bow lover, a dealer in old bows. Maybe he has one like it at home, or has an itch to make one for himself. See how he handles it, the sly old buzzard. And one disdainful suitor added this, may his fortune grow an inch for every inch he bends it. Isn't that funny? Do you suppose he's going to bend that bow? Is he going to bend it and string that bow? You betcha he is. His fortune's going to grow all right. But the man skilled in all ways of contending, satisfied by the great bow's look and heft, like a musician, like a harper, when with quiet hand upon his instrument he draws between his thumb and forefinger a sweet new string upon a peg, so effortlessly Odysseus in one motion strung the bow. So he checked it all out, made sure everything's perfect. It was. He succeeds. Then slid his right hand down the cord and plucked it, so the taut gut, vibrating, hummed and sang a swallow's note. Doesn't that sound beautiful? Nice string, nice tight, taut string. Perfect for shooting an arrow, don't you think? In the hushed hall, it smote the suitors. Oh, God. They were struck by that. Oh, my God. How was he able to do that? It smote the suitors, and all their faces changed. Then Zeus thundered overhead one loud crack for a sign. And Odysseus laughed within him that the son of crooked-minded Cronus had flung that omen down. He picked one ready arrow from his table where it lay bare. The rest were waiting still in the quiver for the young men's turn to come. He knocked it, let it rest across the hand grip, and drew the string and grooved butt of the arrow, aiming from where he sat upon the stool. Now flashed arrow from twanging bow, clean as a whistle, through every socket ring, and grazed not one, to thud with heavy brazen head beyond. Then quietly Odysseus said, Telemachus, the stranger you welcomed in your hall has not disgraced you. I did not miss, neither did I take all day stringing the bow. My hand and I are sound, not so contemptible as the young men say. The hour has come to cook their lordships' mutton, supper by daylight, other amusements later, with song and harping that adorn a feast. He dropped his eyes and nodded, and the Prince Telemachus, true son of King Odysseus, belted his sword on, clapped hand to his spear, and with the clink and glitter of keen bronze stood by his chair in the forefront near his father. Now it's important to know, okay, Odysseus, he wins the competition. That's absolutely fantastic, okay? And he made the comment that, geez, I didn't embarrass you. I wasn't rude. I wasn't contemptible. If you're full of contempt, you're like full of anger, like all them suitors are. But he had said, he didn't say, dude, bring on your mom, I want to marry her. He said the hour has come to cook their lordship's mutton, supper by daylight. So hey, let's have a feast. Competition's over. Now what happens at a feast? All these guys are having this big feast. Well, you're going to eat. And what else are you going to do? You got to be smart, people. You got to think like Odysseus. What do you have to have when you have a feast and you're eating a lot? You have to drink. And if I can get you to drink, I am not going to offer you water. I need every advantage I can get if I'm Odysseus. And that means I've got to give you some form of alcohol. I need to get you drunk to take the edge off, to give me the advantage. And he had said, other amusements later. Well, amusements, it's not going to be fun and games to everybody else. Will be to Odysseus, but it's not going to be for everybody else. That is the end of Book 21.